All right, all right, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Misfit Corner Comics Draws. Where's the Misfit Corner Draws? I already forget. And I changed the name of my channels a couple of times, so I forget sometimes. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna. All right. Just gonna do a little bit of organizing here this evening. What happened is I came up with an idea for a project, and I started doing some layouts and working on it, some character designs and some layouts and so forth. And I did this on Saturday while I was at the store. And then I brought everything home and I started doing some work at home. And I was like getting really excited. I had things coming along very well. And then I went to the store the next day on Sunday and completely forgot all the stuff I had worked on at home. So instead of being able to continue working, I kind of had to start fresh. And so I have a whole bunch of different things I started. And I have an idea for a Crom story, which is what I'm going to be working on. And I've literally laid out the beginning and the end of the story. I just don't have some of the middle pieces yet. And that's what I may work on this evening. Actually, to be honest with you, some of the middle stuff, or actually layout stuff, is kind of boring. So I may do something else tonight once I get everything organized and where it needs to be. Those are a different project. I'll put those aside. This is one of the layout pages I have laid out. That's the background. Oh, this is like a stack of stuff that I had in the store. Some layout designs that I never did anything with. This was a cat character with a demon mask. I think this was supposed to be a hero character, but then I thought about making her into a Crom character. Actually, I'm not even sure where she fits right now. So for right now, we're just going to put her aside. We're going to put her aside in the I'm not sure what she is yet category. This was a character design that I didn't do anything with. So for now, we're going to put her aside as well. Oh, this was a splash page design with Crom and a giant silverback gorilla that never got finished. So I may work on that at some point in time. What is this? Oh, this was my layout for my Skunk Girl. One of the CG creators has a comic called Skunk Girl, and I was doing my version of Skunk Girl, who was actually based on a skunk. There we go. This was a Crom illustration that actually inspired one of the splash pages. These right here, this is kind of cool. These are actually some of my early Crom sketches. This one right here was sketch number 2 of Crom, back when his name was Brazil. Actually, what's so funny is I was going through the old videos on the original channel, and I got probably 20 or so videos of me drawing Crom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download them, edit them, and repost them on this channel, including this one. Like I said, this is actually the second drawing of Crom. And this was, I'm not sure which drawing it was in order. I think this is probably the third or fourth drawing. But this, as you can see, I kind of had an idea, and then I started developing the idea a little bit more and getting closer to what I originally wanted. This is close to what Crom is going to look like in the end. He's definitely top heavy, big huge chest, arms, big flat face. But one of the big changes that I made is this design. He was based on a jaguar, and the current design is based on a tiger. Just simply because all these spots are a pain in the butt to draw, and drawing stripes is a little bit easier to do. But needless to say, let me pull out. Let's see. Where was the original? These are the original layout ideas for the story. Get all of them out. Okay. So this right here is part of the process in which you do like small thumbnails. Kind of part of the process here is getting an idea of how much of the space you need to take up, whether it's going to be done told with panels, or if you're going to be able to do it as a splash page. And I'm going to try to do as many splash pages as possible. This is roughly the last 6 pages of the story. I don't know exactly how many pages this story is going to be. I still haven't laid the whole thing out yet, but this is kind of how it ends. This is Crom versus this primordial swamp monster, and the last 6 pages, there's 3 of them are splash pages. This page is kind of a half splash, but there may be a few more pages added in here to expand on the story a little bit, but overall this is the idea. This was the layout for the first couple of pages, where you had a splash page, story, and then another splash page. But I think there were going to be 2 more pages in here to expand the story a little bit more. This is the splash page I worked on Sunday. This is the splash page I worked on Saturday, as well as this one on Sunday. So I actually have layouts for those, and I'll show those to you guys in a minute. But this is the beginning of the story. This is the end of the story. I'm missing the middle. So I've got to work on that at some point. But honestly, guys, that's probably the most boring part of this process, is doing the thumbnail sketches. So I'm not going to bore you guys with that. Not tonight. Oh, yeah. This is one of the things I do oftentimes, is I'll redo the thumbnail sketches, kind of like to make sure I've got the pacing correct for what I'm trying to do. And it was at this point where I couldn't decide if this splash page was page 6 or page 8. So it's kind of got a question marks down here. So I still got to work that all out. Like I said, I'm not going to work it out on screen, just simply because it's very boring. But, you get it. So this is a character design I worked on. There is another character in this story. Originally, I planned for her to be a fox, but I kind of like her better as a rabbit. I don't know. We'll see. And then this is kind of a spoiler for what happens. But yep. Oh, and the splash pages I was just telling you about. The first one I did. This is the one where I took the sketch that I did of Crom reaching out and added it, made it part of the splash page. This is an unknown page number because I don't know the page numbers just yet, but this is what the page looks like. Crom is being grappled and in the air by a tentacle. And originally it was supposed to be a centipede type tentacle, but I think it's going to be more of a octopus tentacle. And the centipede part is going to be with something else. I like both visuals, but I think the octopus tentacles work better in this image. So I'll be playing around with that a little bit. But this is a lot of fun. And you'll see there, what's going to happen is he's being picked up into the air over the water and then dragged into the water. And down underneath it, you're going to see the shadow of this primordial monster. And I didn't like the way this one came out, so I redid it. Kind of look more like this. So this is going to be kind of like the shadow underneath Crom in this pinup, in this splash page. What could be fun is if I work it out the way I imagine it works out it could look really, really cool. But I may have to do some digital effects in order to make it work properly. So I consider doing this drawing as 2 layers, and then to be able to digitally affect the background layer. But we'll see. We'll see. I may still want to draw it. I may pencil it in the background of this image and then digitally do the screwing around with it that I'm going to do. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what makes it work. Now, part of this project that I'm planning on doing is the interior is black and white and gray. So that'll make it a little bit easier to do in the long run. But we'll see. We'll see. So that's one panel, one splash page that's laid out pretty detailed. This is a second one that I worked on at the store. It's not exactly right. The positioning is close to what I want. I may have to reduce the size a little bit in order to make sure that the bad character that's in the background takes up the background. Either I have to crop it or move it down. But this is the one that should have the millipede effects to it. But as you can see, she's kind of nasty looking. And of course, Crom, he's all heroic. And some people might say, "Hey, wait a minute, where's his sword?" That's part of the story. There's a part in the story in which he puts his sword away or puts it away from him, and but he eventually has to get it back, and that's part of the story that I haven't laid out yet, is him getting back his sword. So cool, gotta love it. And then there's a underwater page. Let me see if I have that over here. This one, let's see. That was me trying to work on the original Primordial Monster. That one's not that great, so we're going to throw it away. These are just some panel pages that I'm working on. Oh. Here's one of the ones where he's getting dragged into the water, and I did the octopus type of tentacles, and I really liked it a lot better. And this is him under the water, holding his breath. Sometimes you just do this. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is the one where he's just floating in the water, and then you're going to have the primordial monster in front of him, and it's going to look great. And I think one of the things that's going to be done about this image is it's not straightforward. It's actually, it'll make sense when it's all done. But these are all layout pages that I've been working on story-wise. I still got to lay out the rest of the story in order to make everything fit. But yeah, I think we're on a good start. Let me see what else I got over here. Oh, this is just some sketches of Crom from a side view. And there's nothing on that one. And let me see what we got here. Oh yeah, this is just some more of the panels. I used old backboards that are in the store, stuff that I, old dirty ones that I'm going to throw away, might as well use for sketching. These are just me working out panel layouts. The original, what happens is you start out with a thumbnail, a small, and it doesn't matter what size it is. It's usually 3 inches by 2 inches or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then you start laying it out a little bit larger, where you're able to flesh out, some of the proportions of the characters and so forth. What I'll do with this, this is almost what I need. This is the first page of the story where Crom is traipsing through this black, ucky swamp. You see the trees behind him, and he's got his torch in one hand, sword in the other hand, and there's foliage and stuff in the water in front of him, and behind him is going to be in the very back is going to be a shadow of like a giant millipede, kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen in the story. This is close to what I would start with. What I would normally do is scan this into the computer. I'd lay it out on my template, which is the 17 by 14 paper that I use, print it out probably in 3 or 4 spots, and then redraw it again at the larger sides in order to start working out the details. and then most likely draw it a third time after that. But it starts out as a little thumbnail, goes into a little bit bigger sketch, gets resized, it gets proportioned the way it should on the page, and then moves on to the next stage. So that's how it works. But I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna keep you guys involved and take you step by step through the process. I'm not sure if I'm going to draw every single panel and page on camera, but I'm going to try. So we'll see. This is another panel, page 2, panel 3. This is page 3, panel 3. Originally, she was going to be a fox, but I think I like the idea of her as a rabbit better. I don't know why, it just works for me better. So I'll probably redrawing that. This is just a Crom yelling, and then a close up of Crom's head, his face, page 2, panel 1. So, yeah. So that's where we're at right now with this Crom story. A lot of different layouts, but we're far from finishing the layout of the story. But in the meantime, I figured what I would do is maybe work on a drawing tonight. Maybe do a little bit of Crom. What's so funny is he's probably my second favorite character that I've created. Obviously, Hero is my first, but I don't know. I like Crom a lot for the fact that he's got a lot of emotion to him. And oh, wait a minute, I want to do this way. And he's kind of a frightening character, but there's a lot of emotion that can be added in there. And I don't know, Hero. It's not that Hero always has to be good, has to be a good character, but he is. Whereas Crom's a barbarian. You know, there are times when he might chop somebody's head off. I mean, that's going to happen. You know, that story's happening. You know, so we'll see what goes. We'll see what goes on. Always got to remember he has a snout, even though it's a little bit smaller, because he's a cat. He does have a snout. I just have to remember to draw that each time. And this portion right here is mostly just hair that comes out. And he's got, I'm sure he has whiskers, but I rarely ever draw him with the whiskers. I don't know why. I guess I'm just not comfortable drawing him that way. But I'm sure he has whiskers. But I don't really need to draw him. He's got a big bushy white eyebrows. He's got a small head. And he's got little pointy ears. He's got a big thick neck, as all barbarians would have. He's got a big hairy chest here, or a hairy neck. He's got big shoulders. Give you an idea what he looks like up front, up close. And I think the way I draw his eyes is like a cat's, kind of like a little triangles, little circular triangles. It's not exactly a triangle, but it's like that. And I think in some of the designs that I saw for tigers, I just like the way their teeth look. All right. And when I was looking at some designs for tigers, their fur, their stripes are not necessarily the way I draw them. They're a little bit different than this, but this is the way I like to draw it, so this is how I will draw it. He's got fangs in the front, big old fangs in the front, and sharp teeth. And most tigers have like black gums. So, but give you an idea what he looks like. I think it's funny how I think most of the designs I saw for tigers, their noses are black and pink. I think his nose is just going to be black. Kind of like that. Now, give you an idea what Crom looks like. Define his stripes a little bit more. The original design I did for him, with the jaguar spots. Oh my gosh, that was such a pain in the butt to draw. But the forehead had a design where the stripes came down like that. His stripes this way is very similar to that. In fact, you have 4 stripes. They come down the middle of his head. So it kind of still stays the same. But you kind of can tell he's more tiger than anything else at this point. And of course, he has stripes on his neck and shoulders. He has stripes that go down his arms. He doesn't have stripes on his chest. But actually, I don't think I've actually designed him from the back yet. So I'm not sure exactly what his back looks like. So I may have to do a little bit of research on tigers' backs and do that design at some point. But yeah. Put a little bit of shadow above his eyes. Give him a little bit sunk in. And Avery said the other night when I was drawing him, I drew him and he looked more like like Tony the Tiger because he was smiling, and that's not what I was going for smiling wise. But so he said you should never draw him smiling. You should always be, grumpy and it's probably very true. Yeah, I don't think he'd smile very much. All right. Give you an idea of what the character looks like. A bit of shadow underneath his neck. There we go. And that's him. That's Crom. I may use this as a panel somewhere in the story. But that's him. That is my guy. And like I said, for those of you who may not know, he was originally the first design of him was inspired because of Rick Piper. Rick Piper was going on a missionary mission to Brazil, and he challenged any of his artist friends to do a character, inspired by Brazil. And when I originally did the research, I found that jaguars were very common or popular in Brazil. So I decided to do a jaguar character, and I originally named him Brazil because I had no other idea to do with him. But at the time, Avery and I were talking about old Conan magazines and Conan comics, and I kind of decided, let me take this jaguar character and draw him like a Conan. And that's where Crom came from. So, but yeah, this is him. And you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of him because I'm working on a story with him. One of my ideas for this, the project I'm working on is there'll be a one and done story at the beginning. There may be a second story that continues in the next volume, but then there may be several pinups and stuff like that. And I've got a lot of stuff of the creating of Crom. So I could probably fill 10 to 12 pages with that kind of material. So I'm not sure exactly how big the book's going to be. I'm shooting for 48 pages, but if the stories tend to be larger, it may get bigger, which, hey, that's cool. But that's what this project is for. And one of the good things, and I talked to Avery about this last week, I think I said, one of the good things about creating an independent book is you are not stuck in a box when it comes to story size. A lot of modern comics, you may or may not be aware of this, a lot of modern comics are 22 pages, 22 monthly pages. If the story takes me 22 pages to tell, so be it. If it takes me 13 pages to tell, so be it. If it takes me 58 pages to tell, so be it. So that's one of the good things about doing your own independent comic is you are not constricted by that 22 page count. You can do whatever you want. If you can tell the story in 3 pages, you tell the story in 3 pages. I've never been able to tell a story in 3 pages. So a lot more coming soon, but this is Crom, and hope you all like it. All right, I appreciate anybody who came by and checked out the video after the fact. I will be continually doing live streams on this channel, Misfit Corner Draws, on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Sometimes it'll go for a half hour, sometimes it'll go for an hour. But if you guys want to come by and check it out in the future, that we're going to be bringing more content to this channel and build it up. So I appreciate everybody stopping by and checking it out, and I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks a lot.